Hello, pre-algebra class. Welcome to another episode of Mr. Chow Time. Roots. That's what we're doing. Square roots, cube roots. Lesson 6, page 168. And actually, I'm not even sure if that's right. Let's just hope it is. A square root. What is that? That is one of a number's two equal factors. And remember, a factor is the number that you can multiply to get the number that you're looking at. So if we're looking at the number 9, the factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. These are the numbers that you can multiply to get to 9, right? And the roots are the numbers that you multiply equally. 3 times 3. So if x squared equals y, if we go back to that previous example, for example, 3 squared equals 9, then x, this number here, the base, is a square root of y. There are some numbers that are called perfect squares. These are squares that that the square root is a integer. So, 4 is a perfect square because the square root of 4 is 2. 9 is the same. 16 is the same. These numbers, they are perfect squares. This sign right here is called the radical sign, used to indicate a non-negative square root. On my keyboard, I cannot make this symbol. The one that my computer uses looks like this, and then there'll be like a number here. It means the same thing. You'll see in a second here. So here it is. Find the square root. The square root of 9. What times 9, or what times what equals 9? 3. What is the negative square root of 64? Well, 8 times 8 is 64, and then the negative of that, which is the opposite, is negative 8. Here, this is asking us for two different numbers, the positive and negative square root of 4. So that would be 2 and negative 2. And finally, we have the square root of negative 81. And this has no solution, because there are no numbers that you can multiply by itself to equal a negative number. All right, your turn. Welcome back. The square root of 49 is 7. Negative square root of 16 is negative 4. Plus or minus the square root of 100 is 10. And negative 10. The square root of negative 49, no solution. I want you to remember this phrase, no solution. You could write no answer or does not exist, or there's a lot of things you could write, but no solution is the way that mathematicians communicate this idea. And so this is the phrase I want you to use. Okay. Estimating roots. Sometimes you can estimate the square root of an integer that is not a perfect square by just looking at the perfect roots that are surrounding it. For example, the square root of 33, there is not a integer answer to this, right? There is an answer, but it's not an integer. And so if you wanted to estimate this, you could just look at the numbers surrounding it, right? That would be the square root of 25, which would be 5 times 5, and then 6 times 6, which would be the square root of 36. And what number is this closer to? It's closer to 6. So if you're going to estimate this, it would be about 6. Let's say we're going to do this one. Estimate the negative square root of 129. Well, the negative square root of 121 is negative 11, and the negative square root of 144 is negative 12. And this number is much closer to 121. So if I were to estimate the square root of this number, I would say, I don't need to write that again, would be negative 11. Okie dokie. I love it when this happens. Your turn. Welcome back. Okay, I'm just going to blaze through this. This is 8. This is negative 5. And this is negative 9. A real life example. So, on a clear and unpolluted day in Kaohsiung, the number of miles a person can see to the horizon is the farthest point you can see. And for this example, we're just going to assume that we're talking about a flat area. We're not talking about a place with a bunch of hills or mountains. The farthest that you could see to the ground here, this is the ground, you can use this formula. D equals 1.22 times square root of h, where D is the distance to the horizon. So let's say you were right here. The distance to the horizon would be this distance right here. And that's D. And then h is the person's distance from the ground in feet. So this is your distance from the ground. This is h. This is D. Is that right? Or is this one D? Distance to the ground. No, distance to the ground is this one right here. Okay. So the observation deck of the 85 Sky Tower, the observation deck is the place where they let you go and stand and look, is 1,140 feet high. How far to the horizon can a person see? So let's give ourselves a little bit more space. So, the 85, it kind of looks something like this, right? With a big old hole in the middle. So this is the 85. And the observation deck is somewhere up here, right? So if you were standing here, how far could you see? That's what this is asking you. And how tall the observation deck is 1,140 feet. So D equals 1.22 times the square root of 1,140. The square root of 1,140 is, oh man, 33.76. So you multiply these two together, and we're going to round to the nearest, what? The nearest tenth. The nearest tenth times 1.22 is 41.191. 41.191. So we're going to round to the nearest tenth, which is this number here. So that would be 41.2 miles. And just so that you know, because that's pretty far, right? Let's see. 41.2 miles to kilometers. How far is that? That's 66 kilometers. That's really far. So from the top of, the 85, you could see 66 kilometers, but you might not be able to in real life, because if there's like a mountain over here, then you can't see this point over here anymore, right? And this might be the farthest that you can see. Or if there were like some hills or something. But from the 85, you should be able to see the ocean. So the ocean is a good place, because the ocean is the ground level. Here we go. All right. Your turn. Taipei 101 is approximately 1,167 feet tall. Calculate about how far a person who is standing at the top of the building can see on a clear day. This is not the observation deck. This is actually standing on the top of the building. If you were able to get to the top, which I don't think you can, but if you were able to get up there, how far could you see round to the nearest tenth of a mile? Okay, so again, we're using the same formula. D equals 1.22 times the square root of 1667. The square root of this is some number, I actually don't know. I just did this in the calculator. It comes out to 49.8 miles, which is even farther because it is a little bit taller. Okay, next and last one. Yusan, which is the tallest mountain. Yusan is 12,966 feet tall. Calculate about how far a person who is standing at the top of the mountain can see on a clear day. Let's just round to the nearest mile for this one. Welcome back. All right, so D equals 1.22 times the square root of 12,966. This is 139 miles so far. Is anyone curious how far that is in kilometers? Let me know in class. Okay, our next idea is cube roots. Cube roots are just like square roots, except that it is written like this. And instead of 2 equal factors, there's 3. 3 equal factors. So what times what times what equals 9? Well, there is not a number, right? Let's not use 9. Let's use 27. That would be 3, right? 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. There are some similarities to square roots. For example, each integer has only one cube root, just like every integer has just one square root. The cube root of a positive number is positive. The cube root of 0 is 0. Those are all the same as square roots. But the difference to square roots is that the cube root of a negative number is negative. That was not possible with square roots. But as you can see, negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 can be a negative 27. So we can have a cube root of a negative number, and that's okay. It's just fine. Okay. So here is the key concept. If x cubed equals y, then x is a cube root of y. And I can just use 8. 8 cubed equals... No, I'm sorry. I'm going to use 2. 2 cubed equals 8. So the cube root of 8 equals 2. Oh, it's right here. For example, since 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 cubed equals 8. Yeah. Okay. I just did that. That's funny. Find the cube root of each of these numbers. Well, if you had a calculator, then you would just use the calculator. If you did not, you would just kind of have to guess and check a little bit. You could start with, this number is going to be pretty big. You can start off with 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. And you would find that this is 7. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 times 7 is 343. Here, the cube root is negative 9. 9 times 9 Negative 9 times negative 9 is positive 81 times negative 9 is negative 729. At this point, I'm going to start allowing calculators on tests because these numbers are starting to get really big and there's no reason to be doing this by hand any longer. So don't worry too much about the math, like doing the math to get to cube roots or even very large square roots. Yeah. So, your turn. Welcome back. This one is 4. This one is negative 11. Okay. Estimating. Sometimes, though, you won't have a calculator and you'll have to estimate. And so here we have estimating the cube root of 83. So if we look at 4 times 4, that's 16, times 4, that's 24, that's 64. And then we look at 7 times 7. We already did this one earlier, right? 7 times 7, but I already forgot the answer, is 49 times 7. Oh boy, is 63. 28. 28 plus 6 is 34. Is that right? I'm going to check myself on the calculator. Yeah, 343. And as you can see, 83 is between these two numbers. I don't know why I went with such big difference in numbers with 4 and then all this way to 7. My mistake. I meant to do 5 times 5 times 5. Here I am just wasting your time. I apologize. So 75. No. 12. 125. 83 is closer to 64 than it is to 125. So if we were to estimate the cube root of 83, we would say about 4. Okay, that was kind of embarrassing. Your turn. Estimate these to the nearest integer. Don't use a calculator for these. You should hopefully just be able to just do it. So, welcome back. We just looked at 4 times 4 times 4 earlier. So 4 times 4 is 16 times 4, 24, 64. 64 is already really close to 72. The next number is not going to be any closer. So this is about 4. This one, 11 times 11 is 121 times 11 is not big enough. Okay, let me just do this by calculator. 12 times 12 times 12 is 1728. We're getting close. 13 times 13 times 13 is 2197. 2197. Yeah, that's closer to this than this one. So it's going to be negative 13. Okay. Hope you have a good day. See you later. Let me know if you have any questions, please. Bye.